I promised after this conference that I would do a bonus section on doing your on starting a business and running a business while you homeschool. But I did promise to set that up for people who, if they're going to stop doing school and they have to forego that income, but they really feel like they need that extra income coming in, a homeschool is a homeschool business, or a business is a good way to supplement being able to stay home with your children and doing the schooling. So,
yeah, that would have been helpful about 15 years ago.
right.
I've been unemployed for 15 years while I've raised my son and my daughter.
Yeah, and it's hard, and then if you go try and
But I didn't think I could have done that, and maybe if I'd have been able to listen to your
my story
talk 15 years ago,
yeah,
I might have been able to think about coming up with a business and working out of my home.
yeah, and that's I know there's a lot of people that are in the two income trap, and you don't feel like you can stop working to stay home and school your kids.
Right.
And some of that is true in some ways. You do, if you're going to homeschool your children, sometimes there are sacrifices involved. Maybe you don't need 2 cars. Maybe you just need 1 car. Now, as a homeschooler, I can tell you it's really nice to have that second car, because we have done the 1-car tango for a number of years, just simply because we didn't have the money to go and fix the car that was broken, or the car got broken and we had to get another car, and we waited a little while, because we don't usually finance our vehicles, we buy them, or and so we don't like to have car payments, so we would save up and we would get that. I know that's weird. It is just what it is. But I don't like the extra stress of having to worry about making a car payment. So the 2 income trap, as you're working, you'll find that you don't need the professional wardrobe if you're a homeschool mom. You can wear jeans and a t-shirt every single day. You can wear your yoga pants and a workout shirt every single day. Nobody cares. All of the other,
or pajamas.
The same thing. Or pajamas. I was never a pajama person because I was a business person, and I learned a long time ago. I wasn't in Mary Kay, but I was listening to a tape by a person in Mary Kay, and they were saying that as a professional, when you go to do your work, you want to feel professional. So you want to at least have jeans and a t-shirt on, because then you feel like you're dressed. And they always said, if you're going to go do phone calls or something like that, put shoes on, because if you are dressed to the shoes, you feel like you can do it. And the other thing that's practical about that is if something happens and you have to run out, you don't have to find your shoes.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah. So so that's something that it's a tip for when you do start a business. When you're going to do business, it's not the same as doing your school with your kids. So get dressed, get if you feel like putting makeup on. I never wore makeup. I never wore makeup before I had kids. So that was one of those things that it's just not important to me, but it was important to me to be dressed. And then so you don't really need a professional wardrobe, but you need clothes to put on. You don't need daycare, which is a huge expense. And I realize that the kids are in school all day, so you don't have as much of an expense, but a lot of people, they're having to put their kids in school. They've got them in school. They have to put them in after school care, which does cost. You're having to put them in spring break and winter intercession camps or whatever. You're having to pay for their childcare or their activities over the summer, because you're not around. You need to drop them somewhere so that you can go to work. And those expenses can really add up. So you don't have those expenses. You don't have those. If you're in a big city like Houston, you may not have to get rid of your car, but you're not going to be driving an hour twice a day to get to your job, which if you've got a car that's not a gas sipper, which most people these days are driving SUVs, or even if they're little SUVs, they still use gas. And that's an expense that you will cut as well. So you can kind of take a look and see, okay, what do I really need to have what can I live without for a little while I homeschool my children. You also don't need to do a lot of, you're not going to be going to movies as much. You're not going to be doing, going to the bars after happy hour before you go pick your kids up or whatever. Most moms don't end up doing that anyway, but some do. Some like to go out dancing. Those things are not the norm for budgeting. Just saying. It's you cut out anything expensive. Maybe you don't go out to eat twice a week, but you're home, so you make an extra 2 meals a week, or you make an extra meal a week, and you do menu planning so that you're not wasting a whole bunch of leftovers. You do have an uptick in expense in feeding people, because for some reason, children think that the kitchen is open 24 hours a day, which I know a lot of people discovered over staying home with the school. But you can get snacks that are not super expensive for them. You don't have to be buying the individual packets. You can make your own with a plastic baggie. Those are, just cost cutting tips. There's all kinds of websites on cost cutting. But once you get to that point, you may still have a gap from where your income ends with your spouse's income and where your bills need to be, even without that extra. Maybe you were over here and you were covering that gap, and now you're here and you still have this gap to cover. So that's where a home-based business or some kind of business can come in and help. There are legitimate businesses that are online. There's one called rev.com, which if you can type, which I don't type well, but if you can type over 32 words a minute, then you can earn a decent amount of money. What they do is they transcribe the videos, and they transcribe audio tapes and things like that. Businesses will hire them to transcribe their stuff. I ended up making about $20 a week on it because I don't type fast. But I had a friend in college who could type 55 words a minute, and she made money in college by writing people's term papers. So, there's always that, but there's the opportunity there. And if you do type well, and you type really well, and you have secretarial skills, there are opportunities out there to become a virtual assistant. Now, a lot of virtual assistants these days are in India, and there's also a lot of high-end businesses that want you to do virtual business that is, they want English speakers. They want to be able to hand something off to somebody and that person understands exactly what they're doing. So you have to pay more for a virtual assistant in America than you do in England. So that's one of those different things. I believe that there are companies out there that are basically agents for those virtual assistants. So you can kind of take a look at that. This economy is so different than it was even 5 years ago. It has become very much, they call it the gig economy. And the gig economy means that you work when you want to. You work when you have the time to. I know a number of moms that are doing shopping, grocery shopping. They do Shipt, or they do the in-store shopping things, and basically they homeschool their kids, and their husband comes home, and after dinner they go and they work for 2 hours or 3 hours at the grocery store, grocery shopping, and they grocery shop for other people. And they can make some decent money doing that. If you don't need a huge amount, then things like that are good stopgaps. If you have a diploma from a college, you have a bachelor's degree, then there is a company called, what's it called? It's the Chinese, teaching Chinese children how to speak English. Y'all remember what it's called? It'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, what they do is they want you to, they have a clientele who are in China. It's the moms in China that want their children to know how to speak English. And in America, they hire people who are bachelor degree. You have to have a bachelor's degree. You have to have a decent web camera, and you can make. I have a friend who makes a good $1,000 a month. I think she was doing 1,300 at one point. She would start. It's easier on the East Coast, but in Texas it's okay. She would start teaching at 6 o'clock in the morning, and she would be done by 9. She would teach 3 hours, and she gets paid, I think, $20 an hour to do this teaching English to Chinese students. And she's just one of these really bubbly, upbeat people, but she was supplementing her income, and then she's done by 9, and she can go and do what she wants to do for the rest of the day. And I will remember the name of it in a minute. It's escaped me. I'll figure it out. Can you look it up for me, Reagan, please? Okay. And then, but for me, starting my business was, I was working as a dental assistant, and at an orthodontic clinic. I was the clinic director, and I had my daughter. I went back to work for 2 days and couldn't leave her. I just couldn't do it. And I was leaving with her friend. It wasn't even a daycare situation. But I wanted to stay home, and I could not leave that little child with somebody else. So that's when it kind of came onto my heart. And I had the opportunity to buy a little print magazine that was kids stuff. And so I bought that, and I was able to use that. It was kind of residual, because I would go and I would talk to local businesses, and I would get them to advertise with me. And they would usually advertise more than 1 month, because once they figured out that they liked it and it worked really well, because it was a very effective magazine to advertise in, then I would have them pretty much, they would pay me every month for years. And so it was kind of, VIP Kid. It was called VIPKid.com. And the magazine that I had, I was paying somebody as a graphic artist to do the layout and to do the ads for me. And I had a franchise fee. Now, with something like that, sometimes you can find a franchise that's reasonably inexpensive. Sometimes the franchises are kind of expensive. So you want to make sure that you're doing enough sales that you can cover that you're going to be able to do the sales to cover this stuff. For me, it's basically, I always made a profit on the magazine. I didn't always make enough to cover all of our bills. So we have other income as well. But the magazine itself worked really well. I don't know how much nowadays you would have to be working something with print. It's a little harder because people aren't going out and picking up stuff like that anymore. Even the real estate guide is down to almost nothing, because people go online and they look at stuff instead of they do that. So if there's a way you can do an online, like for a while their mommy bloggers were doing really well. There are places that just do online things like I was doing, that sell ads online. You can work it out so that you are one of the places that Google puts their ads. I didn't ever figure that out, but if you can figure out a way to utilize your time, and I would spend probably, I don't know, 4 hours a day on it maybe. I was not working full time for sure. And so for a part-time job, it was really paying me quite well. But it allowed me to do my time doing school, because we usually schooled in the morning, and then in the afternoon I sent the kids off to go and do their thing, whatever that was. They would go read, they would listen to audio books, they would do art, whatever they wanted to do. And they knew that if I was on the phone, because I taught them when I was on the phone or their daddy was on the phone, because he worked from home for a long time too, you don't come up unless there's blood, because nobody's professionals. Now, I was in a business that I was dealing with other companies that were moms or companies that catered to children. So it was the moon jump houses and the birthday party places and things like that. So they understood kids. So it wasn't a big deal if the kid was screaming in the background. But I did try and make it so that my kids knew, okay, mom's going on the phone. Don't be screaming. Don't be yelling. You don't need me for a few minutes. It'll be fine. And then I would make sure that my appointments were not scheduled either during school, or when they were really little, I didn't have them scheduled during nap time, because that was a big no-no, because if you have grumpy children, it's just worse. So I would make sure that they were settled. And with homeschooling, it really worked well to have the time with them in the morning, and they get that one-on-one time, and then they don't need you. They don't feel as clingy to you later in the afternoon. And so I would try and do my work when they weren't needing me. And sometimes I would do the work at night. So if anybody's interested in finding out how to do something along those lines, give me a buzz. The other things that I've seen moms do, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. There was one lady I did some graphic design work for, that she started a meal program where she had talked the schools, or at least her school, and I think another school in the district, into allowing her to have pickup when the kids get picked up from school. So she would make family meals, and they would have a meal subscription, and like twice a week when they picked their kid up from school, they would pick up one of those big metal tin things, which had like enchiladas, or it had a lasagna, or it had something like those things. Oh, it was a great idea. If you know how to cook, then you can do that kind of meal prep thing. And if you could talk a school into letting you pick it up from them, woohoo, mom doesn't have to make an extra trip. You've got some income coming in, and the cost of the meals was less than it would be if they had gone out to eat, but it was more than it would be. I mean, your costs were covered and your time was covered, because it wasn't cheap, because it was good. So there's those things. There are, if you do have an art background and computer background, you can do graphic design, you can do web design, you can do all sorts of things. And there are certain tricks and tips to doing web design and things like that, because businesses can be kind of squirrely about paying you. So you got to make sure that you got it, in a way. And there's best practices for all that stuff that's out there. I'm sure that there are many, many books on how to start a business like that. There are businesses that are doing, you can write a book. You can do what our speakers have been doing on something that you're good at. If you're coming from, say you're coming from a dental background, I know I've got a couple friends that ended up starting a dental school where they do night classes teaching dental assistants how to become a dental assistant. And it's a certification, but it's not so much, they don't have to reward the certification. They just have to prepare the people for taking the tests, because the state certifies. So if you've got a skill or something that people can use, then you can go and you can teach other people those skills. You can become a lecturer and go and talk at different conferences on things that you're good at. You can do, I have a friend who started a business as an organizer, and she calls herself the clutter queen. And she goes and she helps people clean out their garages and decide what to keep and what not to keep. She has also used that and parlayed it into helping people with garage sales and helping people with even the estate sales. And so she'll help you set it up. She'll help you do the pricing. She has a couple people that will come in and help work it, and she'll do the marketing for it. So that's something that, you can do anything you want to, if you have the courage to do it, and if you have the skills that back it up. Now everybody thinks of, okay, I've got a business, I'm working for another dentist, and I'm going to become a dentist. I'm going to stop working for them, and I'm going to go open my own practice. Basically, when you do that, you start yourself up your own job. So when you decide to do a business, keep in mind how much time it is going to take you, and then add more, maybe even double it, because sometimes it takes a lot longer than you think it's going to take, especially if you're doing graphic design stuff. It always takes longer than you think it's going to take. I have a friend who's an artist, and she goes out and she paints murals. She paints signs. And another friend who did the signs, and he had a little shop in his garage, and he would do all the carving of the signs, and he'd paint them, and you'd see them hanging around town, and you knew that this sign was done by this guy here. And every city has local businesses, and local businesses like to work with other local businesses. And all you have to do is know your stuff and go out there and talk to people. And you don't even have to go out there and pitch them. You can just go out and talk to them and say, hey, what are you doing? Hey, I saw your sign. It's a little bit rough looking. Have you ever thought about getting another one? And, yes or no. If they say yes, you go, well, I do signs like that. Let me send you some information on that. I'll send you a couple pictures of some of them I've done. Or if oh, well, I did this place over here. It's a famous place. So I did this sign here. Oh, I've seen that sign. That's really good. That kind of thing. Once you get a name for yourself, people start sending out word of mouth. You can do birthday parties. I have a friend who she owns a pony, and she does pony rides. She's made it into a huge business, and she has people that work with her on weekends, and you can go work with her on weekends to help her, collect tickets and do the games and things like that, face painting, anything like that. I met a lady who's in New York, and she's figured out how to do online birthday parties. I haven't really talked to her a lot about it, but I thought that was a fantastic idea for this time period, to learn how to do, just have fun activities for the kids to be doing. And they're all at their separate houses, and you figure out how to make it so that it's fun. And that's all you have to do, is be a fun person and make things fun for other people. And parents will pay you for that, because that is something that they don't want to have to worry about figuring out how to do. So that's kind of my spiel on starting things, working from home. Once you get teenagers, it's even easier, because then you can get the teenagers to buy in, and they will work. My son he wanted money. He was 14 years old. He wanted money. He went and bought himself a power washer, and he went out and he power washed places for people, and they paid him. He powered washed churches' front walks. He would go and power wash. We had a friend who went and power washed her house, and she paid him for that. And it's something that when they turn 13 or 14, they want money. They do. They just do. And you cannot find a job for a child who's under 16. And sometimes it's hard to find a job for somebody who's over 16 and they're not out of college. So, and I don't know what this economy is going to look like when it finally opens back up, but entrepreneurism, if you can do something that's a business, you will never, ever have to worry about getting a job if you can do it right. So you can stay home with your kids. You can, when they get to be a little bit older, go out and find something that you love and get people to buy it. There's a lot of people, for a long time, they were doing eBay shops. They would go to garage sales, and they would pick up all the Tommy Hilfiger stuff, and they would go and they would sell it on eBay. I don't know how much that's going on anymore, but eBay's still around, and people are still shopping online. I know a lot of people are shopping online with Etsy. So if you're good at making crafts, if you're good at making jewelry, there's a book called Ask, A-S-K, by a guy named Ryan Levesque, and it's spelled Levesque. And he does, his thing is go online and find out what people want, and you can set up surveys and find out what people are looking for in a product or something. And another one, Brendan Bouchard, which is B-R-E-N-D-A-N, oh, sorry, D-E-N, B-U-C-H-A-R-D, Brendan Bouchard. And you can get those books at the library. I've seen them there. In fact, I think we picked one up there. Information products are huge. there's a place called ClickBank that has, you can go on there and you can buy yoga tapes. You can buy how to belly dance. You can go and buy how to start a business. And these people have put together a system. Like usually there's a CD or there's an online course thing that you can go to. Sometimes they have a book with it. It depends upon the system. But you can go on there and you can say, oh, look, I took karate. I have a black belt. And this person is selling Taekwondo, how to have 5 easy lessons in Taekwondo, and it's $20. You know, maybe somebody buy that. I'll go on there and I'll find out what they've got and do something and make it better and start selling it on ClickBank or start selling it on Amazon. The information technology place these days is humongous. And if you've got a skill, if you've got something that people are interested in learning about, you can make money on just your knowledge. You can do like Jessica and Tiffany did earlier today. They go and they speak at these conferences, and people hire them to be their coaches. People hire them to come in and speak to large groups. People, you know, pay them for one-on-one consulting. Sometimes, you know, if you've got the money to do it and you want to shortcut how long it's going to take you to learn something, you hire a coach. There are people that are that want to be life coaches. You can learn how to be a life coach fairly easily. Tony Robbins has a course on it right now on how to be a life coach and how to sell your services to people and make other people's lives better. There's just so many different directions to go that if you're considering homeschooling and you know that there's a little bit of an income gap to doing it, that you can get it done. You can make it happen. And just be creative, be thinking about what you want to do. And especially if it's something that you can do online, that's even better, because you can do that without leaving your home. You can do that. Your kids can be in the other room and playing, and you can have, my son just set up a closet in this room right behind me that has egg carton, like mattress covers all over the walls and things. And he's using that as an audio studio, and he's doing voiceovers for people on Fiverr and on Upwork. And they're always looking for female, normal American voices, he tells me, or female young voices. Or so when you put your thing out there, and you can go on YouTube and you can find out how to do anything these days, honestly. I don't advise you becoming a YouTuber to make money, but if you're going to do something that is that's like a course and things like that, you want to do a you can promote it on YouTube, you can promote it on Instagram with photos and things like that. And there's just a ton of ways to do it. So I'm running over of time, and I know Kathy's got to go make her dinner. And I really appreciate you hanging around with me, Kathy, while I'm talking about this stuff. But I think
it's good information.
Thank you. It's been a really good conference, and get yourself a hobby, because when they leave, it is a crisis of what, oh my gosh, this was such a huge part of my life. I felt like I was when I got out of college, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm in a wide field and it's really big. What direction do I go? And I honestly went through about 6 months of going, okay, well, what do I do now? So start thinking about that sort of thing when you've got older kids, and start exploring what you like. And if you can,
well, even with the kids, they've had art classes, and so I started doing a little art with them, and I enjoyed that. So that's something I could go to. I got the cricket, so I'm starting to play with that. So that's something I could do. And that one, if I got good at it, I could actually make a little money on.
Right. Yeah, you can put that on Etsy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And there's always people looking for stuff that's like
it's specialized
slogans and things like that on cups and things. And yeah.
So I've got a few things I could do, but I think I would like to go back to college myself when I get them finished.
Yeah.
Because I was an administrative assistant before I was a parent.
Yeah.
And my skills are a little outdated in some things, but yeah, I could still type fast. So
Well, if you can
that
type fast,
typing
I'll tell
thing
you what,
sounded good.
you can make good money, and if you know how to do shorthand, but it's transcribing stuff.
Yeah, I took a transcription class when I
Yeah.
was in college.
So yeah, you can start doing that now if you know that your kid has a class for like an hour or two, and you know you're going to be alone. Start doing
Yeah.
it and just you run it an hour or so. If you want to go back to school, go back to school. I don't advise everybody go back to school because I've gotten to the point where I believe that college is becoming overrated, and if you can't pay cash for it, try not to. Try not to go back because I know so many people. I have a friend, we went to college together. She had a BA from where we were in economics. She went off to grad school. She has an MS, a master's degree in education, and she taught in China. She was teaching English over there. She was teaching in Hawaii. She lost her hearing, and now she's got all this education. I don't know if she has any debt on it. I don't think she does. But all that education is not useful to her if you can't hear if you're trying to teach. And it's really a difficult situation. And when that sort of thing happens to you, you get beat down. And sometimes you get beat down in a career, and you just don't want to do it anymore, but you don't see a way out. And homeschooling your kids and starting your own business is definitely a way out. And you will not regret going to work every single day, giving up going to work every single day to spend time with your children. You may regret not spending time with your children to go and do your career. You hear stories about that all the time of people when their kids are gone, they're like, oh, I wish I had spent more time with them. I didn't know it was going to go that fast. It does. It goes really fast. And next thing you know, they're grown-ups. And so, yep. Anyway, that's the end of the conference, and enjoyed it. And I hope I know there's going to be a lot of people on the replays, so I'm excited about reaching some more people and helping them to start their homeschool journey. I will make sure that the replays have a list of the different resources that were mentioned, and the ways to contact the people that were the coaches and things like that. So I look forward to seeing everybody next time. Bye, Kathy. It's good to see you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.